The biggest thing I think we've learned over the years is first thing you look at when somebody's coming and giving you advice is their stats.
You're correct.
If their stats are up and soaring,
yep.
then you listen to them.
You know, I remember back when we were in practice in Pennsylvania, and we were probably the first year or two into practice. And I remember a time when I had an employee come forward and wanted to give me their opinion on how everything was. And I remember sitting in your office, because that was the only office that we had that was an office. And I remember sitting at your desk, remember that big desk of yours? I remember sitting at that big desk of yours. And I remember this employee going on and telling me like all of the things that she thought that you and I should improve about the practice. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I think that the polite thing to do here is to hear this employee and listen to everything that she had to say. I know you're laughing because, you know, back in the days, that's kind of what we did. And so I remember her going on and just having this whole laundry list of things that she felt we could have improved upon as business owners and on the business and things like that. And I remember sitting there, and it was probably after like 25 minutes, I thought to myself, I'm not sure how this is how the conversation is supposed to be going. Like I'm thinking that.
Was this the employee who changed the color of the shirts?
No, but she could be. We could have a story with her also. Believe me, yeah, we could have a story with her. But you know, I think in the beginning, you know, the understanding of, you know, being the business owner means that we're tasked with running the business, making hard decisions, and understanding who to take advice from and not. But you know, early on, and I notice this sometimes with clients is the same way, we think that our employees who maybe have been with us for a while, like we want their opinion on how something should be. So in this instance, I remember listening to her and I remember thinking in my head, how do I get out of this conversation? Because I'm like, I don't think this is ever gonna end, right? And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm writing it all down and I'm thinking, more and more I'm thinking, I'm getting smaller and smaller and smaller because I'm going, God, I must be an awful leader and we're awful business owners. And then I noticed that she was saying things about you also. And I'm writing down, I'm like, and Mike does this, and somewhere along the line, believe me, I wasn't great at this, but somewhere along the line I realized this conversation should not be happening this way. This is not the way to handle such a thing. And so, you know, I finished up the conversation afterwards, and you and I, you know, talked afterwards, and we were trying to see where it was valid and where it wasn't valid. You know, and I dial ourselves forward into the future. And, you know, we've learned along the way, one, you never take advice from anybody who hasn't done what you've already done. So asking somebody who's never owned a business their advice, right?
Exactly.
Or two, anybody who tries to drive a wedge between us, like they're like divide and conquer kind of thing, didn't really know quite back then.
It's amazing how many times people try to do that over the years. I mean,
yeah.
not everybody is, but there was enough to remember that there's been multiple times where somebody would come up to me and say something in a real nice, conceived way about you to put a little dig in there.
Yeah.
And then when I realized what they were doing, I'm like, whoa, you know.
I think just the other day this happened, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just.
Actually,
What happened the other day?
well, we just had somebody that was trying to politely divide people in the office so that they could get by without being noticed that they weren't producing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And you know, we're both there talking, and this person is like obviously saying things not so nice about me, but you're there, I'm there, we're all hearing it. And then saying how wonderful and great you are. Just even doing that, right, is like, it's like a way of, don't notice I'm not doing my job, because then the two of you guys can kind of go at it with each other. It's kind of like what kids do to parents.
Yeah.
In a way, you know what I mean?
I think what it is when you figure out how to run a business by yourself and start a business and go through all the startup pain, and you work and work and work and work, you don't have to answer to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you just start doing stuff. And you get busy enough that you go, I need an assistant. So you bring that assistant on, and you're like, well, help me do this and do that and do this, do this. It's when you start getting multiple employees that you realize, if you don't have something written down, this is how all these things happen. They all come about because they don't know what to do. They don't think you know what to do because you're not, everything that's in your head isn't in their head.
Yep.
And we had that many times. Like I remember when we moved from Pennsylvania to Georgia, and we were selling the practice, and the practice sale fell through. And I went back up there to check on things, and you know, you and I went to the attorneys, and they explained to us about passive care versus active care.
Yeah.
And after a certain period of time, there's no more passive care. Insurance companies are like, no, that's only for the first couple of weeks. So we knew that, we spent money on it, but attorneys, I come back up, and all of the exam rooms were turned into massage rooms, and there was candles and
I
music
remember
boxes
that,
in
yes.
there. And I'm
Little
like,
radios. There were little radios in
where
there.
did all these radios come from?
I know.
And the doctor goes, well, we decided that we want to do some massage and people would relax better. And I go, oh, here, help me. And I gathered up all the radios and I walked out to the dumpster and I started
Oh my
throwing
God, I
them into the
remember you
dumpster.
doing that. And I was
he's
like,
"What
I
are you
can't even
doing?"
believe he couldn't have done that a little bit nicer. Instead, he like took a box and was like, shoved everything in the box.
I was so mad, but I was trying not to show
I
it.
know. I know. It's so funny. I know. Well, I got it. Like,
But it was our fault because
Yeah.
we didn't write it down and tell
Yeah.
them. Now we've
or
done
let's
that
say
since.
this, or let's say that it's one thing to empower your employees. So you empower your employees. Like we always subscribe to the fact that who's ever working in the position probably has the idea of what might make something simpler. Like I've always used the example of, you have a computer screen, and in the afternoon the sun comes up, shines in the window, and blocks your eyes. And if the computer screen was just raised 2 inches up on a riser, then it wouldn't block the sun in my eyes, and I could see the patients coming in the door. Well, that person who sits in that seat every day, I would never know that. They would be the ones that would say, instead of complaining the sun's in my eyes, would say, hey, if I had a riser, they have great ideas. So we always ascribed that people could have bright ideas.
Yeah.
But I remember now here's another thing that I made the mistake on. This is early on again in Pennsylvania. I had this idea, working off that idea, which is people have ideas. Instead of waiting for them to generate the ideas, I thought I will meet with everybody every 2 weeks and ask them their ideas. It sounds great, doesn't it sound great? So I remember, I think at that point, maybe we had 12 people. Well, after the second time of doing this, I was like, I am exhausted of hearing everything. It was like all of a sudden I was being given a to-do list. Like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this for this person. And I remember saying to you, this is not the way to do this. That's how the bright idea got formed.
That was
I was
a great
like,
thing.
this is not, I would come out of these 20-minute meetings with like, this person would feel so good because they just gave me 7 things to do to make their life easier. And I was like, how did this meeting turn into this thing? So again, saying, hey, everybody give me your opinions, right? We've learned is the wrong action.
Right. That bright idea form that we put in.
It's so brilliant.
Really, it did a lot of things. One, it didn't infringe on our schedule because we would get it in writing.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't complete enough that we could say yes or no to it, we'd send it back to the person and say, I don't have enough information.
Yep.
And I remember
You're
the
right.
perfect time, the one time I went, that was perfect. I remember we had an employee in Pennsylvania that thought we should look more professional. We should wear scrubs.
Okay, yep.
And I was like, do a bright idea. So I got this bright idea, and there it was. This is 3 different companies that sell scrubs for medical practices. This is what it would cost at this company if you had the logo on it and if you had the name of each employee on it. And then here's the same thing for the other 2 companies. And my suggestion is go with this company and go with the logo and not the names. And I was like, it's perfect. And I signed it. That's all I had to do. I put it back. And then I came in 2 weeks later and everybody was wearing scrubs. It was perfect.
It's perfect. So let me say that when that form was,
And it looked better too.
when that form was born, we realized that. Well, I realized when I was sitting in the room and asking opinions of everybody. Everybody has an opinion on everything, which is fine. But when I was like, give me your opinions, and I'm doing all the effort and the work and making it happen, I realized something was backwards. Because if somebody has an idea and it's really meaningful to them and they actually want to make it happen, they're going to pull the bright idea out and they're going to do what it takes. So many times people might have 10 ideas, but they don't really mean that much. But if they can just say to somebody, do all this stuff, then they get something done. But if they have to actually get out and write up their ideas and do the background research, sometimes they go, you know what, I don't even need this. This isn't even worth it. And what it did was, it actually brought forth the bright ideas that actually would make a difference because the person would go through the effort. And AMI actually gives you this form. It's a bright idea form. It's part of our HR process that when you're an AMI client, you get this form. But it takes away all of that, everybody's opinions and everything you should be doing. It's literally like, write it up. And if it's really important to them, they'll write it up. And if it's not, they won't. And then it's not on your plate anymore.
As we're talking about these different incidences, I have things running through my brain. And I realized over the years, a lot of times we had people come to us in the name of help, really trying to like throw somebody under the bus or get something their own way. And the biggest thing I think we've learned over the years is first thing you look at when somebody's coming and giving you advice is their stats.
You're correct.
If their stats are up and soaring, then you listen to them. But if their stats are down and they're giving you advice about somebody else.
Isn't that what happened this week?
Yeah.
We had somebody who had, well, first of all, we decided, let's let the person just whatever they needed to do. So it was, what was it, 15 minutes, not even a breath,
Yeah.
of every complaint in the book. Mind you, their stats are low,
Yep.
they're not producing, and they had this litany of stuff. And I remember standing there going, wow, this is textbook.
Yeah.
This is textbook, which is, my stats are down, let me tell you how you're so wrong. It was so textbook. So we were done. I was like, wow, that was textbook. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of thing. So, which just reaffirmed what you just said.
Yeah.
If somebody has an idea or somebody has an opinion on something, if their stats are up and they're doing well and producing well for the company, they probably do have something to offer.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm laughing because when I was in college, one of my friends that got me into lifting weights, he's like, when you're in the gym, everybody's going to give you advice. Just look at the guy, and if he looks like you want to look, then listen to it. Otherwise, don't listen to his advice.
That's the best piece of advice.
And I was like, wow, that's pretty good. That's the same
a great
thing in
piece of-
business.
yeah, that's it. That's what as they say. Don't take weight loss advice from somebody who's maybe
Chunky.
could chunky. That's right, exactly. Like you call Molly. We have a dog named Molly, right? And Molly,
Yeah.
she's so sweet. But you call her chunky. Don't call girls chunky.
Oh, you got her doing the
Don't
steps
call-
with me now.
Don't be calling girls chunky, okay?
She's starting to slim down.
I know.
She's doing those steps.
Yeah, I know. Good, good, yeah.